Ahem. This podcast is brought to you by the Alma Mac and Scientific Canada. It was recorded on the traditional territories shared between the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe nations. Enjoy. I feel like I just butchered that again, even though
That's close enough.
we just had the conversation. Okay.
My research on light adaptation in the fish right now.
I'm sitting in a kiddie pool, actually. It's quite nice,
Oh, that would be great.
but it's
man.
not very professional, as they say. Previously on Random Walk. Okay, hello everybody, and welcome back to the show. Today we have a very, very special guest, Kathryn Vaillancourt. You're in Quebec, is that correct?
I am. Yeah, I'm at McGill in Montreal. I'm an 8th year PhD student. So basically, they're trying to kick me out, is what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
I'm very long in the PhD process, but I study epigenetics and addiction. So basically, I work in a lab that uses post-mortem human brain subjects or human brain samples, so people who've died of their illness and donated their samples. And I look at changes to the molecule of DNA in people who died of cocaine addiction compared to controls to try to see how their brain cells are functioning differently. I mean, like, every cell in your body has the same DNA, has the same chromosomes, right?
Mm-hmm.
But of course, a brain cell and a heart cell and a skin cell all look and behave very differently. And so that's epigenetics, which basically turns certain genes on and off at certain times and for certain, lengths of time, so that the cell can produce just what it needs essentially to do its job, which happens during differentiation as you sort of develop as a fetus, as a person. But the brain is super cool, and you're right in that it's only been about 10 years since I've been doing it. So it's only been about like 20, 25 years that people have really noticed that, like, oh wait, brain cells use epigenetics to modify how they respond to the environment and how they interact with each other. And yeah, even things, like early life trauma can cause changes in your epigenetic signature in certain brain cells that change how you respond to things way later in life. Even just like everyday learning stuff, like, learning a new route to get to school, or meeting a new person and learning their name, like that all changes the epigenetic signatures as well. So in my case, like, those are the kind of processes that you need as a person or as a thing with a brain to function in your environment. But those are the same kind of processes that can cause somebody to go from like casually taking a drug like cocaine to like the habitual constant thinking about and seeking the drug and that kind of behavior. So it's not necessary. I don't necessarily look at it from the actual pharmacology of a cocaine molecule on a brain cell, but more like what that downstream change of the way the cell behaves, how that changes and turns into an addiction.
Right.
Yeah, so it's a big ask. So we don't have a ton of samples, a ton of tissue. Mm-hmm. Well, the brain bank in general has been going on. So I work at the brain bank here in Verdun in Montreal, and we have over 3,000 samples now, but it's been going on for decades.
Wow. Okay.
Pretty cool.
I'd like to be able to say that I work at the brain bank.
It's got a certain ring to it.
You're one of the brains at the brain bank, but
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, it's the worst place to be if zombies ever happen. I'm getting out of there.
Oh, yeah, true.
Yeah, but
do they need living brain? Oh,
that's a good question.
I don't know.
I definitely see myself more as see myself in my future more as like a communicator with science training.
Okay.
And so I think once you're trained as a scientist, you're never not a scientist, like you're always going to have that same approach, that sort of scientific, almost scientific approach to things. Mm-hmm. I also I see myself even like further down the line doing research on science communication methods and things like that as well. Yeah.
So we weren't in the same editing group, but can I maybe get a spoiler about what you decided to write about?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I got really excited a little while ago when a couple papers came out that showed neurotransmitters, like the molecules that communicate between brain cells. The paper showed that those molecules can actually get inside the nucleus and change how genes are expressed as well. Like neurotransmitters. Oh, they also don't just transmit. Sometimes they just go in there and control the entire cell. Amazing. So yeah, so I decided to write about that as sort of like an excitement explainer kind of piece. And I went with like a life hack kind of article. You know how many listicles you see? Like, amazing life hack.
Yeah. So this sounds groundbreaking.
I wrote about them a little bit so I write for an online publication called Epigenie, which is about epigenetics news, essentially. So I wrote about it there, but that's not Scientific American. It's much more niche than that. So I'm part of an organization based here in Montreal called the Convergence Initiative.
Okay.
So basically the idea is to bring science, well, neuroscience, but science in general, and art together to make both better, pretty much. So there's a whole bunch of different projects and sort of ongoing themes that the initiative does, and there's a whole bunch of people involved. But my role has been developing a podcast for the initiative. So it's called Renaissance Lab. Not so subtle plug. And I look for scientists who also do art and artists who use science in their work, and basically just to help them tell their stories and explain basically to show how art and science are essentially attacking the same question from different angles, and how you can elevate both by bringing them together.
Oh, cool. I'm going to have to dig into that. I love that.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, it's really interesting. So like I was sort of, I think, similar to a lot of people, like education here, at least in Canada, it's like, okay, you have art classes, you have science classes, and by the time you get to like high school, it's like, okay, well, you got to pretty much pick, like, are you a science kid, or are you an art kid, or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then by the time you're in university, like, the last art class I took was like in the 7th grade, maybe. And so I'm like, okay, well, I do science and stuff. I do numbers and equations and protocols and pipetting, so that's my life. And then when I encountered Convergence, I actually took a class with them. So it's a really cool thing. They do an interdisciplinary class. So they have neuroscientists from McGill and fine arts students and design students from Concordia, a different university. And they bring them together in this year-long class where we explore each other's disciplines, but we also, build connections with each other. And at the end, we make like an art piece, an art piece that's communicating science. So like, I made this with my artist friend, my artist pal. We had this like huge 8-foot installation piece of like data points with like pulsating lights. It was so cool. It was so cool.
That's amazing.
It's like that experience made me a better scientist. And so this like whole revelation that, this is a false dichotomy between art and science, and that both I think are better when you bring them together.
Any chance you would come on after the conference to do a sort of part 2,
sure.
What have we learned kind of?
I do love a good follow-up.
Yeah.
I'm in.
That way we get 2 episodes.
Yeah.
That's efficient.
Yep. I am totally down. I'm excited to see what they give us programming wise too. Like. Yeah.
I haven't actually seen any sort of talk of what.
No.
That's
not yet.
They're keeping it a secret.
Yeah.
Yep. And again, the obligatory intro. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the show, and welcome back, Kathryn.
Thank you. I'm happy to be back.
So we just got out of, well, I guess we didn't just get out of, but we just finished up ComSciCon Canada. So you joined the show maybe 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago.
I have no idea. Time means nothing. Time means nothing to me now. Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, we had a little discussion about ComSci, science communication stuff leading up to it. We've now experienced the conference, and this is just a little check-in and see what you learned, if there's anything cool that you'd like to share, any new revelations. So yeah, I don't know. We can maybe just get started. I know the write-a-thon is always a good experience, and I took some stuff away from that. And
yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like, do I look different? Do I look inspired? Because
you seem pretty inspired. Yeah.
I feel pretty inspired. Yeah, it was really, really cool. Like the amount of mentorship we got with the write-a-thon like I was blown away. Like I guess I can say who was my mentor because he did an amazing job. I had Alan Shapiro, who works on water conservation, science communication, and is also a guy who made Science Lab, which is like a storytelling science for the public in a kind of informal setting thing. Yeah, so he like gave us all kinds of like detailed reviews before the conference even happened, and then we talked about so much stuff during the ride, like how to get into different SciComm careers and like tips for gosh, do I have a mentor now? Like I have a new mentor. It's so cool.
That's amazing. It's just a second. It's cool that they got all of these very well established people to do this.
Yeah. And like, at least in my experience, like he was very eager to help us. Like it was a very much a, like, I want to help you guys with anything you need kind of situation, which is so refreshing, right? Like
for sure.
One of the things I struggle with a lot is like, I'm sitting alone in my apartment and I like have this idea or I want to write this piece and I'm like, I don't know if I could do this. Because then I look at people who do successful things and I'm like, I can't. To have people around that are like, heck yeah, you can. Why not? It's just so nice.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
One of the things that I was interested in is getting advice on like where to send it or who to give it to or how to, proceed. Did you get any advice like that from Alan?
Yeah, for sure. So he gave us some ideas of like where we could send things, or even like, if you're trying to send things places and you're not getting a lot of traction, like just self-publish on like Medium, which I didn't realize was like a self-publishing blog site before.
Okay.
But that's cool. So you can like, it's like, I guess it's kind of what LiveJournal used to be back in the early 2000s, only much more professional, where you can publish your own stuff.
You can make it as unprofessional as you want.
I mean, that's probably true too. Yeah. But so I got some pretty cool tips for that for sure.
Okay, cool. Are you thinking of starting up a Medium account? I
mean, probably. Yeah, sure. Why not?
Yeah.
So I want to like try to pitch the piece that I wrote for ComSciCon Canada, a couple places and see what happens. And if not, then yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
definitely.
Seems like a good idea. That was one of the things I also wanted to do that week is just sort of dig into what the deal is with Medium. And so yeah, I guess you can self-publish, or I think they have their own sort of like blogs that they manage that you can pitch to and they might pay you. But there's also some strange payment structure for the self-published stuff that I don't fully understand. But
something about clapping. Like if you read people's articles and you give them a little clap, you give them the clap. No, that's not what I mean. You push the little button that looks like applause. And I guess depending on how much that traction gets, you could get some payouts. But yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, preferably I'd like to pitch it to a place that's just going to pay me for it. But if not, I can hustle on that site.
Any ideas of where you're going to try?
Yeah, so actually, I mean, you gave me the idea last time to look into Scientific American, so I'm definitely going to do that. But then also just like the Conversation Canada.
Okay,
that website, those are my two places to start. Well, we'll see.
Yeah, I think the Conversation does sort of like minimal editing or whatever. When they accept it, it's pretty much they're happy to put it up as you intended it. So that's a pretty good option, and I think they get pretty good amount of clicks. So you'd probably
yeah. And since for the Conversation, it's about like they take work from academics, so I figure while I'm still technically affiliated with an institution, I might as well make use of that, right?
Yeah, that's an important part. Yeah, I guess you have to be affiliated with an academic institution.
Yeah.
Do they take like industry professionals? I don't think so, right?
I don't think so. Unless they co-write it with somebody in academia, I think. Like I think their main thing is like getting academic voices to the public, which is cool. But, yeah.
Sweet.
pretty excited. And then of course, like, okay, so I know I've seen you post some sweet articles on Massive lately. Very cool. And like, so I joined Massive like years ago thinking I would totally just jump right in, and then I totally didn't. So I've been inspired to like go back and, you know, start commenting on people's posts and see what I can pitch there too. And
yeah, I really like their lab notes thing that they kind of started maybe a year ago. Those ones, it says you can be between 50 and like 300 words or something.
Wow.
Just something that pops up that you think is kind of interesting that you see in the literature or something.
Yeah.
And then you fire it off, and they do some editing of it, and it goes up. It seems like a pretty fun, quick turnaround kind of situation.
Have you done a lab note one before, or are your articles more like the main?
I've done almost exclusively lab notes. I've done one full article, but then the other stuff that I've done on there have been lab notes.
Cool. That's a nice turnaround time. Yeah.
Yeah, you just hand it to them, and one time I got it sent back to do a few edits, like that they couldn't do that I should do. So
yeah,
I don't know. It was like an hour's worth of work total.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
And like, it seems like a good way to like get it from your head just out there fast.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So it's not percolating and.
And I think they'll give you $20.
Hey, 20 American bucks?
Yeah.
All right, so that's like 100 Canadian bucks, right?
Roughly.
Roughly, yeah. So, you know, it's basically rent.
If we round way up. But I think you can do that.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So what else stuck out to you? We had a couple really cool
like
sessions.
Workshop sessions.
Yeah. Was there anyone that you liked in particular that
Yeah, the storytelling session was great. For a couple of reasons. Like first, like the actual presentation and the activities that I forget her name, the facilitator had us do. But she's a professor. Yeah, a beer something. She's a professor at McMaster, right?
Yeah. I've definitely seen her on campus before.
Oh yeah, that's cool. Yeah, those activities were super cool. And it was, again, like super inspiring. And like I came up with this new story that I hadn't thought about before. Which was, really cool. But then they also, like, they had us at a table of 2 people, right? So that we would kind of do our activities with one other person the whole time, like bouncing ideas off each other and working through our stories. And so the person I was paired with, I mean, this is kind of a theme throughout the whole conference, but like amazing, inspirational, like absolutely loved her story, was like so excited to meet her. Like, yeah. Super cool. And yeah, so what I mean by it's a theme that comes up is that most of the people, I mean, everybody that I met at this conference and at ComSciCon, the flagship, it's just been so supportive and cool. And I'm just like, oh, yeah, that's right. These people are dope.
Where have these people been?
Yeah, they've been there. I've just been like, I'm not cool enough to be with you.
Oh.
Which I still kind of feel.
I found that as well.
Yeah.
And so impressive. So many people were doing so many cool things. The poster session was was too much to take it all in.
Well, that's the thing, right? I guess because it's online, it's harder to really get the feel of everything that's happening. But they had concurrent sessions this year, which I was kind of bummed about, to be honest, because I felt like I was missing half of it because I had to pick one. But you know, I could see why they did that though.
Yeah. So actually, I missed the storytelling one. I went to the other session. I think it was like the science of science communication.
Yeah.
But cool. You were saying that in your session you had some activities.
Yeah.
So I actually don't know what activities you guys did. I was
okay.
left out of the loop.
Yeah. Okay. So she was telling us, you know, about different examples of good stories and how to, I wish I had my notes on me because I wrote these things down, but like I wasn't prepared. So we had activities where we had to identify like the character in our story for the first one. Okay. So then we go to our table of just like our partner, and we had to describe the character using like observational context kind of descriptions, and not like they were smart. You'd have to say something like
Okay.
They were always studying, and they, something like that. And then the next activity, like she talked about the importance of setting, and so we had to like, set the mood using like emotional language, and again, appealing to the senses. And then the last one was like the why of the story, like what are the stakes, like what is it important about this story? Because like the difference between a story and an anecdote is that a story has a why, like it changes something about the person or the characters in this that helps progress them towards some kind of resolution. So we really worked on that with our partners as well, which was cool.
I feel that's probably a tough thing for at least for me.
Well, it's tough for scientists in general, I think, right? Because we always, we talk about our research like what's cool about it, but like why do we do it on the bigger picture? It's hard to kind of
I think in my situation, I'm often, when I start writing something, I just write something that explains a thing, but there's no real, like you could read the whole thing and be like, okay, so.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, exactly.
Right? So yeah, getting the why in there is like, it's tough. I guess having like a character, like a person that you focus on, have like a human element probably makes that a little easier.
And the person I was talking to, my partner, one of her characters was the ocean.
Oh.
Which is also cool. Like you can perceive it from the other way around. Like she's a field marine biologist, and she's talking about understanding the ocean, and the ocean like giving her this gift of inspiration. It was very cool. Yeah.
Wow.
Very, very cool.
Sounds like a great writer.
Right? Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. That's how I feel about everybody that I meet at this conference.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you did the Science of SciCon one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one was interesting. It wasn't really anything that I was expecting to be my wheelhouse, but I was surprised. So, well, the activity that we were asked to do was kind of just ask, like write down a general question that you might want to research about like something communication based. And we would type in whatever it was, and the people who were running the session would sort of pick through it and see like, okay, this is something that leads to like an actual testable, like not, I guess like a testable hypothesis. So trying to think of an example of one of the questions. I wrote one down.
Oh, you brought your notes. See, that's important.
This is my little workstation here.
Yeah, there you go.
Right, I wrote down the question, how has traffic to legit science news sources changed? How many new science news sources have emerged with COVID specifically?
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, they helped me sort of formulate that into something that you could actually look at data to answer. And they gave us some resources for finding that kind of data, like websites that just collect massive amounts of data that you can just sort of access and click through. So, which is
cool, but also kind of scary in its own way. Like,
yeah, I'm not sure.
Pulling all this data all the time that anyone can go mess with.
It's like, what are the social insurance numbers of all of the people?
Yeah.
That's my research question.
Yeah, I need the mother's maiden name and birthday of everyone.
But yeah, I don't know. If I have some spare time, I would like to answer that question. Once they got me thinking about it, like, you know what? I actually am interested in that. But
yeah. And one of the things about, I'm assuming, science communication research, since science communication itself is such a new thing, so there's no real rules. Like there's no real big hoops you have to jump through to research it and then get it out there too, right?
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually, and something that I didn't realize until they told it to me. Like communicating science, like communicating your research has, in a sense, always been a thing, but not the way that we're approaching it now, I don't think.
Yeah, not in this like testable or structured, it's not even that has to be that structured, but like, yeah.
There's just more data to look at,
I
guess. Yeah, quantitative or something.
Yeah.
I was going to say something about that.
I believe you. I wish I could help, but I believe you were.
Yeah. Well, there you have it. I think maybe I was going to say something like, I think it was Katie Moyse who was leading it.
Mm-hmm.
She's at McMaster. She was a journalist with like CBC and various other places, but came to McMaster to look at this sort of thing. So now this is just her wheelhouse of.
That's awesome.
I ask these interesting questions and I track down ways to answer.
Yeah. Also, kudos to McMaster for like having positions available, like academic postings available for people to answer those kind of questions.
Yeah, I'm pretty impressed with
that's
McMaster
amazing.
on that ground.
Yeah.
I think she got hired through the Integrated Science Department, the ISci program, which I can see benefits and opposite of benefits, pros and cons to the program. Basically, the idea is like you don't really specialize in any science in particular, but you do quite a bit of each stream.
Okay.
So integrated in that you get to do a little bit of everything, and then you sort of take a specialization at the end. But having her in that department, it really seems like the ISci program could go in a direction of like science journalism, science communication, etc.
Science and culture.
Yeah.
For sure.
I think people who graduate from the ISci program would be like uniquely good at that because they have a little bit of everything. So it's cool that I hope they do that, and then I hope they hire me in 10 years or something.
10 years.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. How about right after graduation, man?
Yeah, I mean, we'll take that. I can do that.
10 years. No, just kidding.
Yeah, maybe I graduate in 10 years.
Amazing. Yeah, it's pretty rare too. Like, I don't think there's a lot of universities that I know of that allow that kind of generalization, I guess, in science.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to ask Evie. She was one of the expert reviewers. I don't know if you got to meet her.
No.
She does the Science Sucks podcast, and currently is finishing up a thesis, I believe, at Laurentian in their science communication program. And what she's researching is the different like science communication based offerings that every university in Canada has, like what kind of training you can actually get for this. Yeah. So I'd like to see her results and then I don't know, apply to work at those schools or help fill in the gaps. I don't know.
Pretty much. Yeah. Just propose something cool. Like, hey, make a job for me.
Yeah. Please.
Please pay me to podcast, please.
That sounds all right. I could...
Right? Yeah. Yeah. If you're getting paid for this, it's a pretty sweet life.
Yeah. Yeah. So those seemed to be highlights for you. Any other sort of like quick takeaways that you can think of? Anything that impressed you?
The big takeaway I got from it was just try it, just do stuff, just put things out there, and like people generally, this community of people who communicate science are supportive. So just try stuff. There's no rules. There's no you don't have to be you don't have to have a PhD. You don't have to have gone to science communication training specifically. Put stuff out there and
and tell people about it.
And just tell people about it. Exactly. Yeah. Pretty much.
Yeah, I guess like Medium is the perfect opportunity to do that. It's like starting your own WordPress site, except the site already exists and people already go there.
And you don't have to mess around with trying to figure out WordPress. Yeah. Which can be rough for some people, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, maybe we'll do this. We'll keep this one kind of short, and
yeah, sounds good.
I'll splice some stuff together. Any last closing arguments or remarks that you?
Arguments. Oh, no, I don't have to. I think that's it. I mean, I've got writing to do, so let's go write some more stuff.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thanks so much for chatting again. It was nice.
Yeah, thanks for having me back. You too. Yeah. And I dig the new haircut.
Hey, thanks.
Yeah.
Definitely send me anything that you start putting out. I'd love to read it and share it and do all that stuff.
Will do.
You start a website or a Medium.
Yeah, will do.
Cool. Well, thanks. I'll let you go.
Sounds good.
Have a good week.
You too.
All right. See ya.
Bye.